Uh-huh. Okay. Okay, now is the sign that we can start. So, good evening, everybody. Let's see. Thank you for joining us, many ladies and gentlemen. And just to say that my name is Tina Coombs, for those who don't know me, and I support the Women's Federation in the UK, and in particular in South London. And we are very fortunate to have a very special lady tonight to speak on Share Her Story. Mrs. Zofia Schacht-Petersen. I met her when we were at the recent European Women's Federation Leadership Conference in Warsaw, in Poland. And we had one session for that. I still want to express a lot of thanks and gratitude to Miti and the European team and Alexandra, who organized the conference, because I think it was one of the best conferences we had, really, I must say. And one of the sessions was the role of education in promoting peace and stability in society. And the undertitle was From Conflict to Cooperation, Lessons in Nonviolent Resolution. And to that topic, a lady responded to give her presentation, and her name is Zofia Schacht-Petersen, and she is a certified NVC trainer, Nonviolent Communication Trainer, and she is a mediator and family therapist, and the author of many articles that are devoted to NVC, especially in the context of family relations, which are published in pedagogical and parenting magazines. And Zofia also wrote a couple of books. Maybe she will explain afterwards about it. We're looking forward that they will be translated into English because they're very, very informative and helpful. So anyway, let us all welcome Zofia Schacht-Petersen with a warm round of applause. Zofia, welcome. Please take your stage.
Thank you very much for inviting me here. I'm very also privileged to share my beloved work and what is deeply in my heart. And actually, if I would start already to say something, what is the deeply in my heart, to support families and children in the families to grow up so they can be peaceful, calm, and they could be also a peacemaker for their life, for future. And this starts in the family. So I was sharing this in Poland, and I would like to also share my presentation. So in saying something about me, how I come to this, how I found NVC, because I myself was looking for what can I do in my life to be more non-violent mother. How can I be living in the Poland, in the culture, very authoritarian culture, where beating children is normal. It was then, when I was a child, it was even allowed at school to beat a child. So I have realized that my habits, like following me so much. When I got my children, I realized, okay, what can I do myself to change my habits? And instead of this habitual authority relationship with children, I know and you don't know, so you must listen to me. I have realized that I need to make dialogue, because children, this intuitive love to them was stopping me from being violent and being like with power over. But I didn't know what else can I do and how can I communicate when my, for example, 3-year-old child, my boy, tried to beat his sister. She was then half-year-old, a small girl. And I completely couldn't understand, because my knowledge, my theory, my pedagogical education, I was then a teacher, didn't give me this sense, what can I do? I just knew that I must know, I must take a role as a parent. But children were like breaking all my theoretical understanding, and they were like present, emotional creatures. And I couldn't deal with emotions when I was thinking, okay, only from my brain, I know what to do. But I didn't know, because first of all, I have realized I need to listen to the child. I need to listen what my son wants to say when he is like violent towards his small sister. I couldn't, then I was thinking, okay, I must protect her. So I was like, some way pushing him out. But then he was even more angry and even more aggressive. So everything was like totally mixtured and completely a disaster. So I decided, no, I need to learn. I need to find something. Then I found Marshall Rosenberg, who actually started in Poland. His book was published in 2003. I met him, I heard him, and that was amazing because what Marshall said, this one sentence he said, people are violent if they don't know any other strategy to meet their needs. So a need is the core of our happiness. And I realize, okay, when I'm not happy and my needs are not met, I cannot make children happy. And if my children are not happy, when my son is not happy, because I hardly can manage these two children, the small one and the little bigger one. And if I cannot communicate with him, if I cannot accept his emotions, that he is simply scared and afraid that I take care of the sister, if I don't know how to listen to him and I just tell him, don't do it, then we will go nowhere. So NVC gave me this beautiful way. Actually, I call it dialogical way. I need to make dialogue with children instead of telling to children what to do. Right now, I say I'm working in Poland with parents. Now I'm not only a teacher at school. I started as a teacher at school, but right now I'm teacher for adults. I'm teaching parents. I'm dealing with many complex situations like this or like I had, but also much more difficult. I become, during all this about 30 years, I become a therapist, family therapist, mediator, and yes, also family advisor and family therapist, because actually all my experience shows me that this is the most meaningful work. I love this work, and all my experiences, even difficult experiences, gave me this some kind of understanding how it is to be in a difficult moment with children, that being with children is simply triggering a lot, and our habits to be violent to our children, they are coming from our past, from the history, from the violence towards children and the domestic violence. So to stop that, we really need to care for parents and for their habitual emotional state when they are with children. And I'm doing this job right now, and I would like to share a little bit presentation. This was just like introducing me a little more. Now I will show the presentation. Maybe it will be I will say more like all in the. Yes, so this is a language. NVC is language of peace. This way, as I say, NVC gave me this sense of peace between in my family. And this is Marshall Rosenberg. I met him on workshops. He came and I was on this intensive training 9-day with him. It was 2005. My son was then 5-year-old and my daughter was 3-year-old. And I asked directly Marshall, what can I do when my son is violent towards his sister and I become violent toward him? I want to stop it. I want to change it. And Marshall approached me. I said, I sometimes give him a slap. I'm not happy. I really suffer from that. And Marshall said, yes, it's true. It's a mistake. But probably you need empathy. You need a lot of empathy for your experiences, but also you need understanding that you need safety. This was the core. You need safety for your small daughter, but nobody teach you how to do it for both of them. How can you protect her and how you can protect your son? And it is possible, and you can learn that. And it was amazing because at the beginning, I was searching in therapies. I was looking for books and I was listening many psychologists, but I was always hearing, okay, this can happen. This is difficult. This can happen. But Marshall, he gave me something very practical. You can learn that you need to protect both of them. And you also need a lot of empathy for your experiences. And that was like opening for me. And then I decided, okay, I want to go there. I want to learn. I want to learn from him and from trainers. This is why I came to Denmark, where I was on the training for families. And then I started here, actually, where I live now. It was almost 20 years ago when I came on this first meeting, and I was amazed how I was listening, how they make dialogue between parents and children. So if for example, there's a conflict between children, so instead of telling, stop that, don't be violent, I was hearing that okay, you want this, and this is why you are beating your brother. Okay, so let's find another way to express what you want instead of being violent. And I was amazed that 6, 7, 8, and even 3-year-old child is listening with this, with this understanding and listening to the child, approach the child. So all these experiences in my life brought me to this, that yes, it has absolutely the main, like the goal for me to create a dialogical family, dialogical relationship between my children, between me and them. And I realized, instead of teaching them and telling them what to do, what they should do and don't do, I need to listen why they do what they do. And they do because they have feelings, they are scared, they are afraid, they are happy, and they are happy when their needs are met, and they are suffering and they are unhappy when their needs are not met. So understanding that this is just very simple, a simple way, some way to approach children and to approach people like Marshall approached me. He was not giving me any advices. He just told me, you probably have a lot of pain. Yes, you need empathy, you need support, you need education, you can do it. And you need to understand that both of your children need the same safety and peace. So this is why I show him in my presentation. I really love how he's showing the jackal in NVC is a violent speaking way, the metaphor for a violent speaking, like authoritarian, you should, you shouldn't, you are not allowed. But then Marshall is pointing at the heart. He says, the person who is violent has also a heart which is suffering. So when we support the suffer, the pain, in any way, in anyone, we don't evaluate who is suffering more or not, but just be focused on the pain expressed right now. And when I was focused on listening my child, my son, then he become calm. I realized, okay, just listening him, make him open to when I could say him, yes, okay, you would like this and this, and it's difficult for you when your sister is taking your toys, and you really wouldn't like that to happen. And he was so angry and said, yes, I hate her. Once I remember, and he couldn't like calm down. And I said, yes, you are really unhappy. You really feel like you are angry. And he said, yes, I would like that she is not here. It was very difficult for me to hear. And I said, okay, and so you are dreaming about me being only with you, like in the beginning. And it was amazing, because when listening this way, his aggression, and not stopping aggression, but hearing under the aggression, his message makes him calm. And in some way, it happened. It was 20 years ago. Now they are grown up, and they have good contact. We all have much, really, I love contact with my children. I love when they are expressing something even difficult. But when they come to me and they share, I know that they trust me, and we trust in our communication and seeing each other. And this is the core of nonviolence. So this is a little bit in my presentation, some theory about that basic assumptions of NVC, but I don't know, you will have it also in the recording. So this is the very small things I have already said, that the feelings, it's something what we experience all the time in our life. So when we some way acknowledge the feelings and know that feelings coming from needs, and instead of stopping feelings, even difficult feelings, and when we understand in difficult actions and some kind of not even violent actions, we understand sometimes extremely painful feelings, then we can stop the aggression. We can prevent aggression. This is my core. This is how I'm working now with children, with teenagers, in the families, with parents. So instead of teaching parents, stop that, I say, you are so desperate. You really would like to find a way. And then parents are calm. And often when I have my workshops for parents, right now, it's about 20 years I'm making these workshops. I was first here in 2005 on family camps. When I'm doing this, I always start from saying, I'm here because I had these problems. I had also problems that I behave violently towards my children. And I'm shameful. I never wanted to do it, but I didn't know how to do it. And when I say that often, I say, hello, we are in the good club because we can do something together. It's amazing because I always see how parents, they start always training from little being like a little stiff and a little bit like shameful. And when I say, okay, I'm one of you, this is why I'm doing my job here and I enjoy this, then I can see, okay, they sit deeper in the chair, they feel relaxed. And this is what I really would like. When people are relaxed, they are really willing to learn something. And this is the knowledge, this is the NVC structure. This is also some informations we need to know. And what I like in NVC that this is some structure and some order in speaking. And it was Marshall Rosenberg understanding that when we are our very complex talks and a lot of words, if we put them into this structure, I can see something, and when I see, I feel something. Something is going on in my emotions, and my emotions I ask like that because I have a need, not because you do something, not because you are like behaving badly, but because when you behave this way, my needs are not met. So this way we can make dialogue, we can express what can we do together, and we can decide in our dialogue, in our communication, like then stop violence, but not just stop violence because you should stop violence. Yeah. So this is from my training, but first it's meeting people and seeing them, and then inviting them to little more understanding. This is also a picture from my training. I do trainings with parents and children, and I love to put all this circle. These are names, this is in Polish, but these are names of needs. As Marshall said, there are about 30, 40 words which can express the basic human's needs. And what is very important, that the need is something what is always needed. There are no not needed needs. So this is some kind of needs are universal. So if people are interested, okay, how can I express need? And okay, I have a need for reading my book, for example. So I cannot take care of my children. I have a need for reading my books. And the reading books is a strategy for a need. And need is, I have a need for peace. And my strategy would be to give children to someone, and I go and read my book, for example. Yes. So this is just a small example of how we try to understand language and put language into some structure. But this is from my training. But the most important is that this is a child. And I love this. This right now, she is a girl. I think she is already a teenager, but she was, she was very small. I often say to parents, we all are born to live in relation and communication without violence. Children they doesn't want to be violent. Children, nobody want to be actually violent. And during all my years of training, I was looking for arguments, and I found it. I found in neurobiology, in psychology, and this new understanding of humans. And a lot of researchers says that being aggressive, it's really not rooted in us. This is not something what we are born in. The aggression and violence coming during the development and when we are developing simply unhappy and nobody understand us. There is a lot of books and I'm sharing that on my trainings, but this is just presentation. Yes, and this is also what is the communication now. Communication between two people, and both of them, they are encouraged to express feelings. They are encouraged to understand needs instead of just actions and observe. I can see you, I don't like you, but I can see you and something is going on in me. I would like something to be different. Would you be willing to listen to me? And then this way we are making dialogue. Would you be willing to listen how I would like to have our relationship in the family, for example? And when I was listening my son, and when he expressed his confusion that he has a small sister, then he felt more safe with me. And then he was less violent toward her, his sister. Yes. And this is, I like also, this is the language. We are using a lot of like stupid words, words without like meaning, words which doesn't have observation content and doesn't have emotional content. We just express our anger. You are stupid, or evaluations and judgment and some kind of blah, 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 talking about everything instead of talking about us. So I often like also, I use this sentence from Antoine de Saint-Exupéry. He says words are the source for misunderstanding, because instead of talking, I'm feeling like this and I would like you to know me. And would you be willing to say, how is that for you? So which is the core of dialogue? We are talking, okay, about neighbors, about politics, instead of talking, because it is not easy to share our difficult emotions. So making workshops, as I do, these are also pictures from my workshops. You know, I also often say I have learned that from children. When I observe children on workshops, when I observe my children, when I observe children everywhere, I can see how they want to be listened to and how they want to cooperate. And they are actually, if they are met with this understanding, they are really willing to cooperate, but not in another way. Very often we say that we are teaching children obedience. And in Polish, we say posłuszeństwo. This is the word posłuszeństwo, which is słyszeć, listening. This is the core of posłuszeństwo, obedience. But so I like very much this sentence is children are not obedient and calm because we calm them down, but they are calm when their needs are calm and their needs are met. So when children are listened to, then they become able to listen to the parents. So this is like opposite direction. This is very simple. I say to parents, first listen to your child, why he is doing or why he doesn't do what you want him to do. And then when child feels calm because you listen, then you say, okay, so what can we do together? Because I really would like this or that. I really would like that your daughter, your sister will not be beaten. For example, I was talking this way with my 5-6-year-old son, and we create community. And we create contact. And this is what I say. This is a way of speaking about needs. The circles are needs, and we are this is also a sentence from Martin Buber, and Martin Buber is one of the philosophers Marshall Rosenberg is fascinated in. Yeah, okay, this is a little better. Yes, these are also pictures from my workshops. I often try to do as much as possible space for rest and relaxation and calmness. I also use many toys, as you can see. And you can see, I often say that family and people in conflict, they need support. They sometimes cannot listen to each other because the pain between them is so big that it's closing their ears and eyes. I often say that pain is that big that it's to the top of the head. So the ears and eyes are closed. So they need to be listened to by someone else. This is how I understand my work as a mediator. When I listen to people in pain, like you can see in the picture now, I often say when you have many people around you to listen to you, the pain become a little lower, and then you become to be more aware and see each other in the conflict. So, and this is also a picture from training, how I support parents and the need, the heart picture. And there are two people who are sitting on the needs. And I often say that the NVC is a need-center language. The need is the center. And when we know how to express the need and how to be more flexible in expressing the need is something what we deeply want, what we deeply wish, what it is not like, okay, reading a book, but what for you want to read a book? For peace, for relaxation. This is a need. Oh, I want to drink a beer. What for you want to drink a beer? Because it makes me more relaxed than water. Okay, so you need a deep relaxation. This is a need. So when we listen to people in troubles, even they say, okay, I want to beat someone. What for? Because I'm angry, because I want to express my anger. Okay, so you want to be listened in your anger. Or, yeah, I want revenge. Okay, because you want to say how painful was for you something, what happened to you. So this simple understanding that behind of actions, there is always something more. And this picture is a boy also from my training. And the picture is also saying, and I often mention to parents, children observe you and children will repeat. They will mirror you. You cannot teach and tell children to do something if you don't do it. If you yourself are not able to connect with your emotions and you don't know how to express your yes or no or feelings and needs, then you cannot understand children because they are basically all the time expressing feelings and needs. They always say they are happy or unhappy. They want something, like something, or they don't want. And this is actually the need-centered language. This is the children's language. Yes, and this is also from Antoine Saint-Exupéry, a sentence. This is also, I love this sentence. It giving me like sense what I'm doing. I don't want to tell people a lot of theories. I want to give people very small like tips. What can they do small in the very complex and difficult life? What can they, this is very small. Just stop talking and try to listen what your child is saying and try to repeat what your child is saying and check, this is something, my child, what you want me to hear about you. And when I teach parents this very simple relation to the children's actions and words, then they can see like amazing moments when they can some way like dissolve the complex and difficult situations. So being with open ears to your child, then it's making your child open to you also. Okay, oh, this is all. It's fine because we already have time. Yeah, I am open for your questions and I am very happy to share this. I don't know, maybe this was maybe a little bit like theoretical, but yeah, I can explain more if you have questions.
Thank you so much, Zofia. Thank you for your explanation about letting our children, hearing our children, what they really need, and then meeting their needs so that they are more content and more peaceful in their relationship with their siblings and with parents and so on.
Yeah.
Does anybody have a question?
Not really a question, but I want to say thank you so much to Zofia because what she said, I can resonate with some of the things you were saying, and especially when you explained about when someone wants to hit because they are angry, and you say, is it because of pain and all that? That's really helpful, and I think I'm going to use part of that to my teenager.
Oh, yeah.
Thank you.
Relationship, maybe I can add a little more about relationship with teenager. It's a very specific time. I love to make workshops, special workshops for parents of teenager, because teenager, they are in the time of life when everything is very complex and they are very fast developing and a lot is going on in their brain and in emotions. And it's very difficult for them to combine all these things. And actually right now the world is not supporting them because it's triggering a lot, giving a lot of like factors which are destroying them even more. So being a parent of teenager, I think this is one of the most challenging moments, like in the beginning of being a parent with a small child. When you have a teenager, you need to have really a lot of like inside peace and trust and self-esteem, that even your child is really angry at you, and often say teenagers are always angry at parents, almost always. They say, you are the best, the bad mother, you are nobody, you are ugly, you are old, I hate you. And I often say to parents, calm down and listen. Your child is simply unhappy, like you say. If your child is unhappy and express to you, he still express his trust or her trust to you, that you can listen and you can manage. And then when you do it, when you really just listen that he is expressing emotions, not talking about you, because children are just expressing the way as they, this is the easiest way. You are the bad mother, instead of I have problems. Life is difficult for me right now. So when I understand that children are not talking about us, because they are actually saying to me, saying, you are the worst mother, for example, my child is saying, I really trust you that you can support me with my difficult emotions. So when I can manage that, I often say to parents that they are giving two informations. First, they feel bad. And the second, I trust you that you help me. You will help me. So parents can stay with this, like some kind of strength. Okay, nothing. There is no disaster. This is just situation when I need to be more careful with my ears, and I need to open my ears. I love also to say that I was searching and looking for the difficulty in listening difficult messages. This is also information for parents of screaming children and screaming teenagers. When we hear the bad messages, our emotions like shutting down our ears, and we have a very, very fragile muscles in our ears. And these two muscles, which are 2 or 5 centimeters big, they are working like a heart, because they are from the same tissue, like from our heart. So when I manage to listen, even it's difficult, but I do my best to listen. And instead of saying, stop that, don't say that to me, I say, you probably want to express that you are unhappy. You want me to listen to you. When I can manage that, the child is like, I observe very often, like children are calm, because, and I say to parents, we are loving children with our loving muscles in our ears. This is also a small tip, which is easy to remember.
Thank you. Invite me to that workshop of mothers of teenagers.
Yes. I would be very happy to share more.
Good.
Could I?
There is one question about discipline, Zofia.
Yeah.
How do you discipline the children?
Yes, discipline. This is a very beautiful word. I often use, instead of saying discipline, I say a structure. Children, from my perspective, they don't need discipline. They need structure and clarity and information. The discipline is a structure, clarity, and information. we often think that discipline is formation, that I need to form a child in this or another way. But nobody wants nobody wants to be formed. And when we understand that children simply, they don't want to be formed in something, that they don't want to hear, okay, I must be nice, I must be kind because my mother demands from me, or that she wants that. Because in some way, children also, they want to be equal in relationship. And discipline, of course, I know more as a parent. I am responsible for the situation. So this is what I do, and I teach parents when I have a structure, and when I'm talking about structure, okay, I am your mother, and you are my child, I'm responsible, and this is just situation. This is not, I'm powerful, I can do something with you, and you must submit. I say, this is a structure we are living in. You are my child, I'm your mother. And with this structure, I really wish that you can listen to me. But of course, I am very also interested to listen why it's difficult for you to listen when I ask you for something, for doing something or not doing something. So this is a little more complex, but the very, very beautiful also question, and very often the question that we need to discipline. We need to make structure. We need to live in the structure, and we need to share information, what I want and what child want, and create like common understanding of the situations. Yeah, if there is something concrete, I would really love to like address the situation. I often do on workshops when people ask me. Yeah, but this is the like whole understanding of how I understand discipline.
Could I add something, please?
Yeah. Oh yes. Yes, please.
So I work in trauma-informed intervention, and I've worked a lot with neuro-linguistic programming and neuroscience. And it's reminding me of the child in exile in our own minds. So we're talking about parents and how we can parent our children better. However, we have an inner child too.
Yeah.
And our minds are like that parent to the inner child. Yeah. So I'm feeling, listening to you, I can remember my own frustrations as a mother, as a single parent with two boys, and I've experienced all of what you discussed.
Yeah.
And I had a lot of abuse growing up myself as a child. Yes. And I didn't want to be abusive towards my children. However, seeing them be abusive to one another would trigger me then to discipline them and to set all of these rules and take things away and all the rest of it. So I'm just realizing that, you know, everything that you're talking about is definitely, I feel I can relate to everything very deeply. However, this is the same for adults, talking to other adults, and this is what creates wars. You know, not being able to have that listening ear, not to actually listen to get to the root of what's needed and what people actually, it kind of like brings up Maslow's needs as well, the hierarchical needs. You know, when certain things are in place and we feel safe and our needs are met, then we can collaborate and we can communicate and we can unify and be in joy. However, if those things aren't recognised and we feel like we're not seen or heard and we're not safe and we haven't got our needs met, then we're more likely to have outbursts, to react, to create wars rather than peace. So it's just really clarifying stuff that I kind of know as like conceptually, but also what I've lived in reality. And what I've experienced just over the last couple of days with a relationship that I've had to walk away from. It's exactly why I ended up in that situation, because that person as an adult obviously has unresolved trauma and reacts based on kind of projecting towards me. And I did nothing, but in that person's mind, there was an outplay of everything that you've just discussed. And obviously, you know, even when you for instance, we could try and communicate to find out what the need was, that person really didn't know because they've been living it all their life. They couldn't say what they needed.
Alice, I'm so thankful for your words and for your understanding. And this is actually a core of nonviolence, that the core is within us to deal with our own traumas, with our past, with our habits and habits we inherit from our parents. And sometimes the pain is so deep and so big that is very easy to be triggered. Ja, so.
Können wir es auf dein Handy jetzt machen?
Warte mal, ich
Okay.
bin bei
Sorry,
Okay.
Oma, bitte.
Alice,
I'm sorry. Could you please
kann man das-
listen first and let Zofia answer the question,
Yes.
please, before somebody new comes in, please.
Yes. So I would like to just shortly say to Alice, I like very much this understanding. I think this understanding needs to be much broader and much more shared to people, because people often like blame violator and offenders for that they are bad behavior, but there is always a core. I often say, of course, we need to protect us and others from violence, but we cannot just protect with excluding the people who was traumatized without really relating that this is a trauma, this is a past triggered, when especially when we see children as parents, our own traumas are triggered very easily, and like embracing that situation and inviting people to speak about it openly, and then inviting them to therapy. Yes, I do also this work. I become also a mediator, but also a trauma therapist in somatic and neuroaffective approach, because I realized I need to know how and what I do. I often invite people and I say, okay, on the meetings or even the workshops together, I ask them, okay, let's talk about that. What you imagine the person is doing in conflict in the families. I always do like, okay, I am willing to listen to you. In some way, I could share. I had lately a situation when the father came with 2 children, and the child was very, some way, very, very violent. A boy, already from the beginning, 10-year-old boy who was screaming, I hate my sister, I hate you, father, you are nobody, everyone is nobody. And then when I understood his story, he, as a 2-month boy, lost his mother. His mother died simply. And he had 2-year-old sister who is father is very focused on the sister because she is now teenager, and father is very scared about her growing up. But he is really focused on the sister, not about this small boy. So when he came and he felt safe, he like opened up. And then this situation is showing, and this is what I really would like to, I was talking with the father. Yes, your son never experienced being totally loved. He lost his mother too early, and his violence has core there. So when we understand, when we know that he is not saying you are a bad father and she is a stupid sister and the world is for nothing, he is just saying nobody loved me. Nobody, I never experienced this. Maybe 2 months was too short in my life. And I asked this father, so how you manage when you had 2 small children and you was a widow? He said, I did something, but it was of course difficult. I couldn't manage. So when we talk now about that, we can also relate to and protect the child, the boy, from being like accused. Okay, he is like bad behavior. We need to stop him this or another way. But when this father was really feeling, okay, now I'm more prepared. I can listen to my child because I know his story much better. So I always say to parents, little more about the child development, about the most important children's needs, so they can understand when something happened to their child, so they can also like, right now in the family, it's the best moment that we can come. And he said, okay, I know what to do now, because I was basically stopping him, stop that. But right now I can understand why he is, for example, coming to me. He always want to hug me. And I say, yes, just hug him and say, you are my best boy. You are my only one son. Like, find the words which give him this, what he lost in his first months of life. So it is very amazing process. I love to really support parents. I often say parents are the best therapists if they, of course, have their own therapy and they have space to be like healed and understood with their problems. So
thank you.
Alice.
Thank you.
Thank you so much. Sophia, there is Anne Schaffner who wanted to ask you a question. Anne, where are you? Do you want to ask? Anne? Anne Schaffner?
Yes. Hello, hello.
Hello.
Hello, Tina. Hello, Sophia. Hello, sisters.
Hi.
And brothers. I have a question to ask, and it has to do more with the physiological side to children. And I've worked with children for before I retired in December of 21 for almost 20 years.
Yes.
And I was a nanny. And I also took, after I retired, I started helping my next door neighbor just across, we live in Brownstones. So it's just the next house with her 2 children. And they were at that time 2 and 4. Yeah. And the 4-year-old was so he was just really, really nasty. And I heard the mother is a teacher, and the father is a child psychologist. And the father told me when boys, specifically when boys are 4 years old, their mind goes through a twist in the mind. And it doesn't happen with girls, but it happens with boys. And I wanted to know your comments on this and if this is really true. I never heard this in all what I'd ever went to workshops and all sorts of things. I never heard this.
Yes, I can mention something. I think in my understanding, and as I know, I was learning neurobiology and the nervous system from Stephen Porges, how it works and how the social engagement is created during the development. And in some way, there are differences between the brain of the girl and the boy. But I think the basis is that the time of life for the children, the first 5-6 years are very, very sensitive, and children are growing very fast. And many things can happen to the child and to his nervous system and to the brain. And how I understand that, I would not be focused on the brain like as such, but about the situation of the 2-year-old boy who is getting the sister, and then he is too young to feel safe in the world. So this is why his emotions and his nervous system is simply very triggered, because parents for the first 2 years, they were totally focused on him, and this is normal. But then when the second child is coming to the family, parents are moving direction. So this 2-year-old boy is too young to manage this stressful situation. And then the child is screaming and saying, "Hello, I'm here. I'm your son. Throw out this girl." So I often observe that. I was observing that with my children also, that I simply couldn't understand. And all the theories that the brain is like this or that was not helpful for me. When I couldn't understand, he is simply very alone and he is lost in his life. When I was focused on his sister, it was natural, it was biological, needed to do it. So this understanding that simply 4-year-old boy still remember that sister took away the attention from the parents. So he was simply completely shocked and unhappy. And when we cannot understand him and listen to his desperation, that he is even more violent. So in some way, I totally appreciate the knowledge of neurobiology of the construction of the brain of the boys and the girls. But I think for me, the more relevant is to understand the concrete situation in the family, and the concrete situation, what is the difference between, what is the age between 2 and 4. And I have heard also in Denmark, there was also some research, and many like Gestalt therapy also, they say that children simply have a time, they need to be fully focused, fully like embraced as one for parents, and the best time is 5-6 years to have another a brother or sister, but parents doesn't know that. And sometimes parents just have a child. So, but anyway, just understanding that the older child is sometimes too young to have a brother or sister. So when we can also ask for help, we can also find a support for the young child, for the youngest one, the newborn, and to be focused on the older one, because he is simply suffering. This is clear, and this is much easier for me to understand. I can understand why he was nasty, like my son was really nasty. But being in contact with this anger and some way embracing the lost and scared child, it was much easier for me to communicate and to understand. Even it's not easy, but this understanding makes me more calm, not thinking, okay, this is simply as it must be. No, I can do something. I can approach my child with more understanding. This was actually what Marshall said. When you learn that they both need safety, they both need your attention. And of course, that was also in my private life very difficult time, because I also, my marriage was broken. I became a lone mother. That was very, very difficult time, and I needed help. And I think I got it in Denmark. I got it from these very conscious people around here. So I really recommend, this is what I do. I really invite people to make communities, give them information and give them space, some way space to cry, space to share their stories, space to make dialogue with their inner children. Because very often in us adults, our past, our childhood is triggered when our children are suffering. So this is what I would like to, how I would answer this question. Anne, I don't know if this is relevant for you. Yes?
Thank you. Thank you very much.
Yes.
Actually, we can really see that these situations are also, for example, I mean, they start in the family, but they, on a bigger level, you can see it as well, like politically between countries, isn't it?
Yes, yes, absolutely.
There's not enough listening to each other and not enough communication.
Communication, exactly. Communication and understanding that without communication, we cannot survive. We cannot submit another country because we think that we are more developed or they are taking away our something. It is some way that the societies are also like children, like humans. And when we teach communication, express, yeah.
Thank you.
I like to ask a question if I can. This is Britta.
Britta, yes, I remember you from.
Yes, it's wonderful to be able to listen to you again, Zofia. And I have a very special situation because I really love to have family and friends over for dinner, and especially 3 generations.
Yes.
But I find it so incredibly chaotic. And I have a grandchild that is almost 6 and a granddaughter that is 2.
Yes.
And then I have in my family my husband and then my daughter and her husband.
Yes.
And even though my intention is that we're going to have a nice time together, it becomes so chaotic. And everybody's kind of talking about their own thing, and I just don't know how to, because I feel it's just like you said, I feel it's so much, everybody's needs are coming up.
Yes, yes.
How do I tackle this?
Yes, beautiful, beautiful question. Thank you very much, Britta. I want to share something. I would like to give you also come to the, we often think that we can make this discipline when there is chaos, we have rules and children will sit there and parents do and blah, blah, blah. I say not discipline, but structure. And we need to structure our talk. We need to really acknowledge, okay, we cannot listen to everybody at the same time because we have only one way of one, even we have 2 ears, but we can listen only one at a time. So this is simply information. I always, when I'm working with children, and they are also chaotic because all of them want to speak, I say, I can listen only one child at the time. And when I give this information, instead of saying you are not allowed, I say, this is information about me. I can listen only one person at a time. And when I do it with children, and I say, okay, when I'm working, for example, I am sometimes invited to the classroom when there is chaos and they ask me to make some support for children. I say, okay, we need to make a circle and we need to agree that each of us is talking at the time. And then we are checking, okay, to whom you want to say something about yourself when there is conflict, for example. But at least a very simple structure, okay, let's talk together, but not at the same time. So who want first to start to say something about yourself and want to be listened to by others? We can listen when we listen, but not when we all talking. So this is very, some way, the structural problem, not because everybody, when we meet and we feel good in the family, when there is a grandmother prepared a very good food, everybody are happy. And of course, within the structure, we can see that children are much more expressive and children will speak first. So when we listen to them, okay, you want this and this, you want that. And when we inform parents that the structure is the first of all, we listen to the children and we give them information. Okay, I listen to you, but I also want to be listened to, okay? So when I'm working with parents within the therapeutic, like family therapy setting, when there are more persons, and I can see that children often, they want to speak, I often first listen to the one who is the most loud, who is speaking the most, and these are basically children. And I do it to also to give them message very fast. When I listen to them, I check, this is something what you want to say. You want to say that you are happy. You want to say that you are unhappy. You want to say this and that. And I check if this is something what you want me to know about you. Then I say, okay, and then I want you to say something about me that I need little more peace, okay? So, and I right now want to listen to your mom, okay? So let's sit close to me and we will listen to your mother. I know that it takes some, I could say some skills, some facilitation that to see at least the structure. But I'm working with this understanding that the one who is speaking the most, that one needs to be listened as first, but not all the time, but as first, and then, okay, let's go to the next one and to the next one. And of course, children will jump again and again. But then I say, okay, how about that? I will come back to you, but let's wait a moment. How is that for you? Sometimes children are just, so I sometimes embrace children. Sometimes when I have workshops or with many families and children, sometimes I'm focused on the child who starts to disturb. And this is really, people often say on my workshops that I'm doing a miracles with children. I say, no, I simply listen to the child who is the most loud and speaking the most first. Because when I don't listen, when I try to calm down the child without listening what is there and what the child want to express, then it will just not work. That will be chaos.
Okay, so what if it is my son-in-law who is the loudest?
Yes, listen to him
first.
And listen to him. Yes, exactly. Say to him, okay, I hear that you have a lot to say. Is it so? Just ask him directly. I can hear that you have something to say. I can totally understand. Probably he has a lot of emotions, a lot of probably confusions because he is in his wife family. So he probably wants to be listened to first, and then we can some way openly relate to him. Hey, I would like to listen to you, but also I would like to listen to someone else. How about that we will come back to you if you have more, but right now I would like to move to another one. In some way, this is all in the structure and information. And I know that keeping that information, maybe that can give you a little more like some kind of understanding, but that someone who is speaking the most want to be listened to, and also need to be sure that he can be listened to. I think often from my workshops, I have this sense that people who speak a lot because they don't feel comfortable. They really would like to check if they can be themselves. So I often focus on them, and then I'm listening them and checking, is there more you would like to say? Is there more? And what I do often, I just mirror, I just repeat what people say, in like saying, okay, you say this and this. This is something you want me to know about you, or you would like us to know about you. And very often when I say to people, they are like shocked because I really carefully listen to them, their words, and they very often people don't experience that they are really with care and attention, they are listened to.
Yes, with Royal Marine Commandos, speedboats, and a Navy fly past.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much.
I think, Zofia, we need to invite you to do a workshop for us.
I would love it. I would love it. Yes.
Oh, la la.
Workshop about listening, yes. And the structure in listening, and the managing the peace and managing the inner emotions, insecureness, which is actually the core of our too much, too big, too difficult. Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for your passionate explanations and insights, and sharing your wisdom and experiences with us.
Thank you for listening and for asking questions. I love it.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. So anyway, I think we need to say thank you to you, a big one, and thank you to everybody who is coming on and asking questions and helping to understand more. Thank you so much, Zofia.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tina. Thank you, everyone.
Wonderful. Thank you so much.
Thank you, all
Thank
of
you,
you.
Sophia.
Thank you very much, dear Sophia. It was amazing. Very deep.
It was very beautiful.
Thank you very much.
Yeah, very nice.
Maybe we could invite you for
Thank you,
Sophia.
I'm open.
Definitely, we would like to invite you. We want to continue this discussion because it was touching the tip of the iceberg.
Yes, yes.
So the women, we need more hands-on, practical ways of solving conflict, actually. And what you've shared with us is so precious, so many tips. And really, we need this community where we can come together. Yeah, thank you so much, Sophia. Really, really, we love you, actually.
Thank you, Sophia. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Sophia. Thank you.